When Commander Elias Rowan accepted the diplomatic escort mission to the Velisari Concord, he expected tension, alien customs, and the usual political posturing. What he did not expect was to be bleeding out on the polished obsidian floor of a restricted sanctum, staring up at a creature that defied every image in the xenobiology databases. The chamber lights had failed during the sabotage. Enemy agents, most likely, and the emergency glow revealed what the Velisari never showed outsiders. Princess Calith was no longer cloaked in her ceremonial illusion. She was taller than her public form, her skin layered in iridescent plates that shifted color with every breath. Luminous veins traced along her arms, and behind her rose a lattice of translucent energy wings that hummed with restrained power. Her eyes, stars within stars, locked onto Elias with raw, naked terror. "You've seen me," she whispered. Elias tried to sit up, failed, and grimaced as pain flared through his side. "Yeah," he coughed. "Hard to miss." The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. Velisari law was absolute. Any non-Velisari who witnessed the unbound form of a royal was to be executed immediately. And any royal who allowed it was guilty of treason. Calith knew it. Elias knew it. And somewhere beyond the sealed doors, the palace guard was already mobilizing. "You must marry me," Calith said suddenly, voice tight. "Or they will kill us both." Beginning, a Deathworlder in silk halls. Elias had been chosen for the mission precisely because he was human. Earth's reputation as a death world had preceded it, and humanity's adaptability made them valuable mediators in volatile regions. He had trained for cultural shock, for strange rituals, and impossible etiquette, but nothing prepared him for Velisari politics. The Velisari were revered across the galaxy as ethereal, near-divine beings, peacekeepers whose technology bordered on myth. No one questioned their authority. No one saw their true faces. "I'm not exactly royalty material," Elias said weakly, trying to buy time. "Your people will never accept this." Calith stepped closer, her energy wings dimming as if in pain. "They must. Velisari law binds survival to union. If you are bound to me, you become Velisari by oath. The law forbids your execution." "And you?" Elias asked. Her jaw tightened. "I live. Otherwise, I am executed for exposure." The alarms grew louder. Boots struck marble in distant corridors. Elias exhaled slowly. He had faced pirates, warlords, and vacuum breaches, but this was different. This was politics sharpened into a blade. "All right," he said at last. "If marrying an alien princess keeps us both alive, I'm in." Calith stared at him, stunned. "You accept." "Humans are good at impossible situations," Elias replied. "And I don't feel like dying today." Middle, a union forged under blades. The ceremony was nothing like human weddings. It took place in the Hall of Resonance, beneath a dome that reflected every star the Velisari had ever catalogued. Elders floated in concentric rings, their forms hidden behind layers of light. The guards watched Elias with barely concealed hostility. He was dressed in Velisari silk that shimmered against his scars. Calith stood beside him, once again cloaked in her public form, slender, luminous, and deceptively gentle. By law, the union was valid. By tradition, it was an abomination. "You are a stain upon royal purity," one elder hissed during the recess. "A death world brute." Elias met its gaze without flinching. "Funny. That brute just saved your princess from an assassination." Whispers rippled through the chamber. Calith placed a hand on his arm, a Velisari gesture of alliance. "By law, he is my consort. Any insult to him is an insult to the throne." The elders recoiled, but the law held. Still, survival did not mean safety. Assassination attempts followed, subtle poisons, sabotaged transports, carefully engineered accidents. Each time, Elias reacted on instinct, honed by a lifetime on a hostile planet. He disarmed attackers barehanded, shielded Caliph from plasma fire, and once dragged her through a collapsing corridor while bleeding from 3 separate wounds. Belisari watched in stunned silence. Humans, they realized, did not break easily. Between threats, something unexpected grew. Caliph had lived her entire life behind illusions, worshipped but never known. Elias spoke to her plainly, argued with her, laughed with her. He asked questions no one else dared to ask. "What does your true form feel like?" he asked one night as they watched the stars. She hesitated, then answered softly, "Like freedom and fear. Because once seen, it cannot be unseen." Elias nodded. "Yeah, humans know that feeling." Middle. The truth behind the throne. The final threat came not from radicals, but from the High Conclave itself. Belisari unity was built on myth. Their divinity was an illusion maintained through secrecy. Caliph's exposure and marriage to a human threatened that foundation. "The human must die," the Conclave declared. Quietly, Caliph stood before them in full regalia, trembling with contained fury. "Then you will have to kill me as well." The chamber erupted. Elias was already moving, instinct screaming. He stepped forward, positioning himself between Caliph and the elders. "You want me," he said calmly. "Then listen first." They did. Elias spoke of Earth, of storms that tore cities apart, of predators that hunted for sport, of a species that survived not because it was strongest, but because it refused to give up. He spoke of choice, of partnership, of strength found not in illusion but in resilience. "You rule because you hide," he said. "Humans survive because we face reality head-on. Maybe it's time the Belisari learned something from a death world." Silence followed. Then, slowly, Caliph released her illusion. Her true form filled the chamber in radiant, terrible beauty. The elders recoiled in shock, not at her appearance, but at the fact that she chose to be seen. "I will not rule through lies," she declared. "And I will not abandon the one who stood with me when your laws would have left us both dead." The Conclave had no answer. Ending. A new law written in blood and light. Belisari law changed that day. Not easily, not peacefully, but inevitably. The myth of untouchable divinity fractured, replaced by something stronger: trust. Caliph's reign began not as a goddess, but as a leader. Elias became something unheard of, a human consort whose presence symbolized unity rather than scandal. Other species watched closely. If a human could survive Belisari politics and reshape them, what else might humanity endure? On the balcony of the palace, Elias stood beside Caliph, watching ships move like fireflies through the void. "Still regret it?" she asked quietly. Elias smiled, resting a hand over hers. "I've survived worse odds." She leaned into him, energy wings flaring softly in the starlight. "You have changed my people." "Give it time," Elias replied. "Humans have a habit of doing that." Above them, the galaxy shifted, just a little, around a union born of danger, defiance, and the unbreakable will of a Deathworld species that refused to let fear decide its fate. And for the first time, both human and Belisari believed they might survive what came next together.